Hello everybody. In this video I would like to share with you all a Changa trip that I had close to 2 years ago. Now if you don't know what Changa is, I've made videos on how it's made and what it's made up of. But just think of it as it's an herbal blend that you smoke, and its active ingredient is DMT, dimethyltryptamine. So like I said, this trip took place like 2 years ago with my friend. So I might not be very, clear with it, but I'm going to do my best because it's kind of an interesting story. So we were out in the woods, and like I said, I was with my friend, who I've actually featured on my channel before, and we planned to smoke this Changa. We had a little water pipe or a bong with us, and my jar of Changa. And this Changa was kind of strong. You can make it at different potencies or strengths, and this stuff was strong enough to the point where if you took like 2 or 3 bong rips worth of it, you would be having a nice trip. So we went out in the woods and we're sitting down, and this experience was going to be focused on my friend having a Changa trip. Not as much so me, because I had done it a bunch, and I was more so introducing him to Changa and showing him what it's like and whatnot. So he was going to be the first one to hit it, and I was going to reload it for him and let him keep going, And anything that he didn't take, when he told me, alright, I'm good, I would have my own trip. So we pack up the bong, and he wasn't too big into smoking, so he was kind of awkward when it came to properly inhaling smoke from a bong. So I was helping him light the hit, and he was getting the bong milked up and slowly getting some, and he got the bong filled, and pulled away like he was all good and didn't want to clear it. I tried to get him to clear it because that would complete the dose, but he was like, okay, I'm good. So I go ahead and clear the bong, hold it in, and while I'm holding it, I'm packing him another one. I'm packing him another bong rip. I start to feel the effects of the Changa while I'm packing him another bong rip, because like I said, this was some pretty potent Changa, and just from me clearing the bong, I started to feel it. So I get his second bong rip packed and pass it back to him, and I'm helping him light it again. Once again, he gets it all burnt, gets it all milked up in the bong, and then pulls away because he has enough smoke. So, I just, once again, I clear it. And when I cleared that bong, there was no more time for me to pack bong rips for him or whatever, because before I get into the experience that I had, I want to say, which is very interesting, my friend who was smoking this Changa, he didn't feel it. He didn't feel the DMT. He didn't have a DMT trip from smoking this Changa. And this is the second time that this has occurred with me and him. I've let him try out the pure crystal before, and once again, he was taking these huge hits, blowing out huge clouds, and I would just take the pipe and clear it after he was done hitting it, and then pass it back and give him another hit. And that's what the same thing I was doing in this Changa experience, was letting him have the bong rip, and then I'd clear what he didn't take. He didn't feel the DMT. For some strange reason, the DMT didn't kick in for him, and it didn't elicit a psychedelic effect. He said he felt kind of lightheaded and kind of like how you would on cannabis. But let's get real, DMT is not like cannabis. It's a completely life-shattering psychedelic experience. And he was smoking quite high amounts of it, and nothing was happening. And interestingly enough, me clearing his hits, I would begin having psychedelic experiences. And that's what I'm going to get into right now, is what happened to me from clearing his 2 bong rips of Changa. So like I said, we were sitting out in the woods, and I cleared that last bong, and he was like, all good. He was like, I'm good, I don't need another one. So I was like, alright, that's good, because I'm starting to fucking trip. Quick. I remember I was looking out in front of me, and where I live, there's tons of ferns that grow throughout the woods. And I remember they started looking like geometrical, like hexagons. Like I was seeing it form in front of my very eyes. Like I was seeing the visuals come into fruition, come into play. And I remember it specifically making it seem like everything looked like these like interconnected hexagons, and it was turning the ferns into like this crazy like futuristic computer like geometric design type thing, and it was slowly transforming into that deeper and deeper design. And at that point I was feeling really like just trancy, like I was fading out, you know what I mean? So I laid back onto the forest floor. And when I laid back, and I laid into a big pile of ferns. So as I'm laying back, I saw all these ferns shoot up past my face, because I'm laying down below them now and the canopy is up above my face. And I saw them all shoot up above my face. And this is the only experience I've ever had that was like this. But the second my back hit the forest floor, the second I laid down, I was no longer like me on Changa out in the woods with my friend. That was no longer the scenario. What was going on, like what I was and what was happening, I was a 12-year-old boy that lived in the jungle, that was laying down to take a nap after a long day's work of, you know, foraging food and collecting stuff and building shelter and cleaning and doing all this stuff that a kid that lived in some indigenous jungle tribe would do all day. And I was this kid. I was this kid that lived in the jungle and did all these things, and I was laying down, relaxing, because that was the only point in the day that I really got to relax. And I felt like I was honoring this relaxation. Like I am being gifted this period of being able to relax. And it was literally as if I was a whole nother person with a whole nother life living in a whole nother place. You know what I mean? And it was very weird, because it was like, it just seemed like second nature. It just seemed like my life. Like, oh, finally I get to chill out. I've been working all day in the jungle. You know what I mean? Very weird. Now, I don't know if I either don't remember more of this scenario, or if it just completely faded away right after what I just said happened, but I remember opening my eyes and turning over and looking straight down at the forest floor, and I saw all these bugs. I saw all these ants and little flies and all these different insects crawling around the ground. Now, I don't know if I was hallucinating them or what, but it was like I was seeing what like an airplane would see of us, scaled way down in very like HD. Like I felt like I was looking, like it looked like the forest floor was like a city, and there were all these buildings and all these different infrastructures and all this crazy designs, and all these insects were navigating through them and doing their thing and talking with each other. And it was like I was observing some like other civilization right down on the forest floor, and all I had to do was get close to see that point of view, you know what I mean? And I thought that was really weird, because everything literally looked like it was like a tiny, like what it would look like looking down on a city, like built into the woods from an airplane. That's what it looked like. And it was all, and like I said, there were all these insects moving through it, and it was all built into the forest floor, and it looked very strange. And the next and final thing that I can remember from this experience, which is just as equally as weird as what I just shared, I remember I sat up, and this was probably like 5 minutes after taking it, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, I don't remember exactly. But I sat up, and my friend is sitting off to my right. And I didn't look at him. I wasn't looking at him. And all of a sudden, I didn't know who was next to me. You know how the different people you hang out with and the different people that you know have different vibes associated with them that you feel when they're present? All of a sudden, it wasn't the vibe of my friend, Nick, that was hanging out with me. All of a sudden, it was the vibe, my dad is hanging out with me, and then my brother is hanging out with me, and then my mom is hanging out with me, and then my friend I haven't seen in years is hanging out with me, and then my sister is hanging out with me, and then my grandfather. And it was like it was cycling through different vibes of who was with me, to the point I didn't know who was sitting next to me. And I remember saying out loud, dude, I literally don't know who's next to me right now. And this feeling was being perpetuated by not looking and seeing who was actually next to me, because it was as if I wasn't looking at who was over here, it was like anybody. I was hanging out with everybody type thing, and it was flowing through the vibes of all these different people. And I remember specifically not looking over at my friend so I could perpetuate this really peculiar feeling for as long as I could, because it was literally like who I was hanging out with was changing and flowing into different people. And it was very weird. Now, I've had a lot of experiences with Changa where it's heavily associated around feeling like other people are there, or feeling like different people are all of a sudden there, or all these alternate like lifetimes, you know, that like what I just shared about being an Amazonian boy in the jungle, like that kind of stuff is common in my Changa experiences. Changa always seems to be associated with like I feel more comfortable saying I've had more entity contact with Changa than I have with the pure crystal. So yeah, that's really it for this experience. This was a Changa experience that I had with my friend, and once again, my friend didn't even really feel it. And I was just clearing his bong, and I had this experience that I just shared. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting to share just another one of those strange psychedelic episodes. So, yeah, I think that's it for this one. So, thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more.